Let's talk about Nigeria's Securities and Exchange Commission holding its first Capital Market Committee meeting late last week, reviewing the operations of the domestic securities market for the past year and outlook on the new financial year period. Let's get some insights into the CMC as we are joined now by Oke Umeano, who is the head of Chief Economist at the SEC, and here in Lagos, our studios here, David Hattori, trader at Highcap Securities. Welcome to the show, David. It's good to have you here. Thank you very much. David, let's start with you. What were the key highlights of this meeting for you? What are your takeaways?
Yeah, that meeting was very, very wonderful. It was cordial, and it set the stage for the new DG, Mr. Yuguda, to lay out his thoughts about the capital market. But several issues agitated his mind, and the most important was the issue surrounding the unpaid dividends saga. And all the people who attended the meeting were equally worried and shared his apprehensions about what is happening in respect of the unclaimed dividends issue.
We'll get to the unclaimed dividend, David.
Yeah.
But in terms of broadly speaking, it's been it's been a new leadership of Yuguda as the head of the SEC. So what's the general view from the market operators on the regulatory side of things under his new leadership?
Yeah, the market operators are very happy with his appointment as a substantive DG of the Securities and Exchange Commission, because it's been one of the issues that market operators have been worried about, considering the fact that for a very long time, the Commission has not had a substantive Director General. And so when Yuguda was appointed and confirmed as a substantive Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, it brought a lot of relief to market operators. So expectations are also high. Although his predecessors achieved a lot, they did a lot in the market in terms of the plans they have for the market. But a lot still needs to be done in the market. And so a lot of responsibilities are resting on the shoulders of the new Director General, and market operators are expecting that he will move the capital market of Nigeria to the next level.
What were the key issues that you would want the SEC, you market operators, market professionals, what are some of the issues you would want the SEC to focus on?
Yeah, first and foremost, the mandate of the Securities and Exchange Commission are dual in nature. First and foremost is to ensure that investors are protected, and by so doing, ensuring the trust and integrity upon which the capital market is built. And then the second mandate is to undertake the development of the capital market. And so, within the ambits of these two mandates, a lot have already been achieved, but it's expected that the new Director General will dot the I's and cross the T's.
Okay, where are we as far as the NCM is concerned? The capital market roadmap, it's gotten a few more years to go. It was a 10-year plan, wasn't it?
Yes, it's a 10-year plan, and a lot has been put on ground in terms of implementation of that plan. And most of them center around the activities of the market in terms of making the market more efficient and cost effective. So by the time we look at issues relating to the dividend, unpaid dividend warrants saga, then we'll probably know how far the master plan has addressed some of the shortcomings of the capital market right now.
Okay, well, we'll talk about what they call the unclaimed dividends a little bit later, and maybe around cryptocurrency and what have you. But we're going to take a break. But again, it's very important to find out what the assessment of the leadership of the new SEC since it was inaugurated and all of that. But let's just stand by, everyone. We'll have a bit more to chat to this when we come back. All right, welcome back to the show. Let's bring into the conversation the quarterly CMC meeting of the Nigerian SEC is usually a heavy one with several reports and issues on the table. Let's get my guests in Abuja and Lagos. Of course, here at our Lagos studios, David Hattori, who is a trader at Highcap Securities, and bringing into the conversation, okay, Umano, who is the head office of the chief economist at the SEC. Okay, thank you very much for making it through to the conversation this evening.
Thank you, Bosin, for having me.
Thank you. It's good to have you. We appreciate that. Okay, let me start with you while David holds on in just a second. What were the major points that the regulator or the SEC focused on and achieved last year despite the pandemic that was reported on at the CMC?
Thank you. Last year was a special year, and it made us, it exposed the need to, make our processes better. The lockdowns meant that offices were closed, so we had to up our game, our digital game or our online game. So we had to automate a lot of the processes that we have to make them more efficient, faster. Make us able to, work from home, get the markets going even while we were at home. So it was an opportunity to upgrade, and that's what we did. Another thing we did last year was the lockdowns afforded us a lot of time, to work on many rules that we needed to work on. So last year, our rulemaking was supercharged, We came up with, we were very productive in terms of rule making. Also, last year we were able to take care of the derivatives, the launch of the derivatives market. We did some very important things as it relates to the derivatives market. We registered a couple of CCPs. We got the rules out. We got both the rules for the SEC and those for the CCPs out. Last year. So it was a productive year for us.
What feedback did you get at the SEC from the market professionals during the CMC meeting last Thursday?
Okay. One of the feedbacks, one of the things we discussed as a result of feedback we got from certain members of the market was the bottle holes. The bottlenecks in the e-dividend system. So some of them complained that there were still areas of, areas where it was difficult to get through, or areas that slowed down the system. And we discussed this. We looked at all the stakeholders and all the parts of the system to see what these bottlenecks are and how to, remove them. So we've agreed now to, come together, sit together, all the parts, every member of the capital market that has a part to play in the e-dividend system. We'll sit together, identify these areas, and remove them so that the e-dividend system will, flow well. That's one of the things we handled. The other one is on the commodities market. As you know, we are building a commodities market that we hope will be deep enough to accommodate the kinds of things we want to do in the country. As you know, the country wants to shift from a monoproduct, crude oil, into so many other things, agricultural commodities, metals, and other things. So we reminded the market about the rules we have exposed concerning the trade in commodities and what the SEC is doing to make it easy for players to play in that part of the market. One of the things we've done is to engage stakeholders like the Standards Organization of Nigeria, the FIRS, on things that they can do to help that market grow. Also, we talked about some good news. As you know, the central bank has decided or has started to inject some funds into the Nigerian Commodities Exchange, and that's a good development. So all these things are things we discussed at the meeting.
Okay, so let's speak specifically to unclaimed dividends, which of course is related to e-dividend. David Hattori, what's your take on this? Why are there still bottlenecks? Yes. Who's responsible for what?
Thank you, Botsin. You know, when investors buy securities in the market, whether ordinary shares or bonds, they are concerned about the profitability of such investment. And the major return that defines that profitability is either the dividend for equities or interest for bonds. And so we've had this challenge in the market over a long period of time in respect of investors not being able to get their dividends or even interests at the appropriate time, or not even getting those payments at all. So that issue has lingered for a very long time, and I know that successive leadership of SEC have actually tried to come up with solutions. I will just briefly tell you that the epicenter of this challenge actually lies within the registrar's department. Because when investors come to the market for the first time to buy shares, they go to the stockbroking firms where their data are collected, or they could also buy shares through the primary market, in which case their data are passed from the collecting agents, who are the banks, the issuing houses, and also stockbroking firms. And all these data go to the registrars, who in turn compile them in their register. And so the people who know these clients from the very beginning are stockbrokers, and they have an intimate relationship with these clients, and they generate all these data. But I would state that sometime in the past, especially during the indigenization exercise, a lot of retail investors rushed into the market, and several fictitious names were used to buy shares. Okay, unfortunately, they couldn't open bank accounts with those fictitious names. Yes. So that left a legacy issue in terms of dividends that cannot be collected till now. Okay, but I'm listening.
Yes, there are still unclaimed dividends. Some reports that there are still unclaimed dividends, not just legacy. So let me ask, okay, where is the problem here? Where is the cog in the wheel of unclaimed dividends progress?
Just as David was saying, there are identity management issues, and the Commission is looking at how to handle those issues. Until we solve the problem of identity management for those, like he said, those shares that were bought with names that do not really belong to people, we cannot solve that aspect of the unclaimed dividend problem. But what the Commission is concerned about right now, or more concerned about, I would say, is the new unclaimed dividends accruing, not because people have not been able to, prove that they own the shares, but because the system, according to some feedback we got, the system is not working the way it's designed to work. What I mean is, some people complain that after they have mandated their accounts for dividends of a particular company, they receive payments. This year, the next year, they have to mandate their accounts again. So, things like that we don't want to hear. We don't think that dividends of new companies or new investors should get into that pool. So that's the one we are even more concerned about. But concerning the one of the legacy issues that came about because of identity management issues, we are doing all we can. We are working as hard as we can to ensure that we sort that out. We have asked people who have such shares to come in, claim them, find ways to identify themselves and claim those shares. And we are seeing that happening.
Okay, Umeano, head office of the chief economist at the SEC, thank you so much for your time. And of course, as well, David Hattori, trader at Highcap Securities, we thank you both for speaking to us this evening.